The start of August brought some new controversy in the latest WSOP news. Earlier this month, WSOP officials started the snowball rolling by introducing in the 2021 rulebook a new entry, Rule 115. This rule would have slipped by normal people if it were not for the expert eye of poker's Kevin Mathers, who tweeted out the new rule to his followers. On August 9th, Mathers shared a screenshot of the exact wording for Rule 115. In it, the text reads, "In accordance with guidelines promulgated by the CDC, Rio reserves the right to remove any participant from any WSOP event at any time prior to or during the WSOP main event." What this means is, for example, if a player buys into a bracelet event, sits down at the table, begins to play the event, and then the WSOP staff determines the player was exposed to the virus the day before, the individual will be disqualified from the tournament and required to leave the premises. So, if you came into close proximity with a person who tested positive, you could be disqualified from the event and receive no compensation. Or, if you make the final table of an event and come into close contact with somebody who tested positive, you could be removed from the event and receive 9th place prize money. Needless to say, this sparked a huge outpouring of vitriol from the poker community. Of special note was the part in the rule about removing players from simply being in nearby contact with someone who tests positive. Earlier this week, the WSOP released their revised rules for the upcoming WSOP tournament series, which gets underway in Las Vegas this fall. They said that the players who come into close contact with a person who tests positive will not be required to leave the tournament and quarantine, provided that they are fully vaccinated with the appropriate timing parameters and remain asymptomatic since the time of exposure. It takes 14 days following the last shot to be considered fully vaccinated. So if a player who was exposed to the virus received their second dose 3 days prior to the start of the tournament, they would still be subject to removal from the Rio. But if the second dose was 3 weeks prior, even if they were exposed to the virus, they won't be removed as long as they aren't experiencing any symptoms. The WSOP has given every indication that they're planning to go forward with the full 88 event schedule in what is rumored to be the final year for the series taking place at Rio. But they must take some health precautions to ensure the series is a success, even if that means creating some controversy on poker Twitter. As it stands, face masks are required inside all Las Vegas businesses, including casinos and poker rooms. So, if the mandate isn't lifted by September 30th, poker players will have to cover their faces during the WSOP. Rumors have been swirling around social media that further restriction will be implemented in the coming weeks. But at this point, there are just rumors, and there are no concrete evidence to suggest additional restrictions on the horizon. Some players are saying that they will be skipping this year's WSOP as a result of the new policy, as it's too much of a financial risk to be disqualified while playing a tournament. The possibilities are endless for disqualifications due to positive COVID-19 tests to wreak havoc in the situation, not to mention the likelihood that at any given point there will be multiple people within 6 feet, including dealers who regularly rotate and could theoretically infect an entire tournament. There were several takes on the potential disaster. Number one random positive and you could realistically have to forfeit around 100 people with dealers and table changes. This means around 800,000 to 1.2 million in players' money down the drain. Number two, there should be exceptions for those fully vaccinated or wearing masks. One positive test could disqualify probably 4 full tables. One dealer testing positive could disqualify most of a room. Number 3, can you imagine going into day 4 of an event as the chip leader for a $500K payout for first place, and you walk in, get tested, and they disqualify you and give you 9th place prize money for about $50,000? That would be devastating. Chris Moneymaker, the 2003 WSOP main event champion, has already stated the fear of contracting COVID, and passing it on to his young son has forced him to abandon plans to play this year's WSOP. This video is powered by Bluff the Spot, the best place to learn how to win at poker from actual high-stake coaches like MMA Sherdog. Check the link in the description.